We're holding on Daf Mem Aleph Amid Beis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines from the bottom. Tan Rabbanan. Achel tzli mi'be'yayim. If you eat tzli, again, the Korban Pesach is supposed to be eaten at night. So if you eat tzli, roasted Pesach, on the 14th, chayev, you be chayev malchus. Ukizayas nami, no. Ukizayas no. If you would eat a kizayas of half-broiled, mishecha shecha, when it's mishecha shecha, then chayev. Again, we saw on Friday that the lav of al-sochel mimenu no is when the mitzvah of tzli is in effect. So since the mitzvah of tzli is only on the 15th, the lav of eating no is also only 15th. So only mishecha shecha on the 15th would you get malchus for what? For eating half broiled. Ketani tzli dum yidna. Ma no belav, just like no is a lav, af tzli belav. So too is tzli is belav. Now, in fact, tzli, it says the following: you should eat the Korban Pesach tzli eish. There's a mitzvah asay to eat the Korban Pesach tzli eish. So you'd have to infer that it's a lav not to eat it tzli eish, right? It says the Gemara Bishleim and no ksiv al tochlu mimenu no el tzli minolan. Where do you know tzli you be chayiv malchus for? It doesn't say you should not eat it tzli, only tzli. It says you should eat it tzli. It doesn't say a lot. Now, says the Gemara, halav haba mechal asehu. It's a lav that you infer from an asay. Guys, it's a mitzvah asay to eat the Korban Pesach broiled. We can infer there that not to eat it broiled is not, but it doesn't state the lav openly, like it says by no. So the question is, any lav that you're going to say has the level of an asay, meaning you shouldn't get malchus for it. Since it doesn't say thou shall not eat unbroiled meat, it doesn't say thou shall not. It's inferred from the fact that you should. Why you chayiv malchus? Amar of Chista Hamani, Amar Aleph, Hamani is Rabbi Yehudi, is the Tana of Rabbi Yehuda, the Tanya. Shar v'seh sarua, this is describing the different mumim that exist, in an animal. Shar v'seh sarua, I think it has one eye bigger than the other, the kulot, or its eye, or its any limbs that are different sizes. Kulot means its feet are cloven, they're closed. Nedava tasa, you should make it in a dava. If you want to be magdish it, you can't bring it as a korban, but you can be magdish it lidamin. You can be magdish, it's a value to the bedek habayis. That you could do, because again, you're not putting it on mizbeach. Also atamatis lebedek habayis. Also that you can be matis to the bedek habayis, right? The iatamatis tmim lebedek habayis. But a korban that is pure without a mum, get the bach Pinchas Elio. But that we're on Mem Beis Amid Aleph at the top. Mem Beis Amid Aleph at the top. But that is Tamim, right? That you can't bring Lebedek Habayis. You can't. In other words, you can't go ahead and give it a lower kedusha. Mikana Amru Kalamatvis Tamim Lebedek Habayis. Anyone who goes ahead and makes a korban that's from Lebedek Habayis, Oive Be'aseh. Because the pasuk says Nedava Tasu, and we infer that dafka this, but not what? Not the Tamimim. So you see, you're over and say, in li'alav asay, beloy sasay minayin, having a yover and a lav, Talmud Leimar, Vayidav Hashem al Moshe Leimar, it says at the beginning of the parsha, Leimar, Lim, and the Lashon Leimar, Limit al kol parsha kula, she beloy sasay. When it says Leimar, we're going to see it's a play on words to say loy amar. Loy amar. Take the word, it's an intriguing, it's a contraction of the words. Leimar, loy amar. Say loy to him. So this parsha that begins with Vayidav Hashem Moshe Leimar, the Leimar teaches us that it's a lav to go ahead and be magdish tamimim a korban that's tam lebedek habayis. So obviously the one who holds this would hold also by tzli eish since it says you should eat sliesh, it's a lav not to eat sliesh. You have Rabbi Yehuda, and now we can go ahead and identify Rabbi Yehuda as the Tana who mentioned before that you eat if you eat a carbon that's not sliesh, a carbon pesach that's not sliesh, you'll be chayiv malchus. Why? Because he holds a lav. Haba mechal asay is a lav. A lav that you infer from an asay is a lav. The Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Akapara, my mashma. How is a mashma from the word lamar, right? Has a mashma from the word lamar, that's a lav. Amaloi dechsiv lamar, loy noimar. We say no. Bidvarim. Loy noimar bidvarim. Be'rav ami lamar, lav omar. Either way, you're taking the word lamar and using that lamed aleph as what to connotate a lav. So therefore, just to go back, we said, we know if you eat na at the night, half broiled at night, you're chayiv malchus, because it says al tochlu mimenu. It says al is lashon of a lav. And we have during the day, if you eat sliesh during the day, you'd also be chayiv, right? Because it says you should not only sliesh by night, but not during the day. But laila, only at night you should eat sliesh. So if you eat sliesh during the day, you'll be chayiv, guys, right? You're eating sliesh during the day, you'll be chayiv, because it says but laila, you should eat it at night, not during the day.
So do you darshan any time? Do you darshan lamor to be low amar every time?
Taisus seems to say only over here. Taisus says only near Levi the hainu dafka mahanach dvarim ispuhu lav haba mechalasei. Only in something you wouldn't say every lamor, but only the things that's possible to say lav haba mechalasei. And no, it's only when that situation would arise, Eli, of where you have a mitzvah asay and you can apply the lav if lamor begins at the beginning of the parsha. But stama parsha, which says lamar and there's no asay, then you wouldn't say it. Says the Gemara, May tashmish shall nachtem. If you have we said that the Jew who's going ahead, the baker, he's working with water and he's going to go ahead and get flour on his hands. He's constantly sticking in the water. You should take that water and throw it out. Tani chada shayfim b'makam madrayim. One says throw it in a place where it has an incline, let it roll down. Then shayfim b'makam ishpurin. But don't soak it in a place where it can gather together. Because when it gathers together, when it soaks together, then it can be it can become chametz. You could go ahead and throw it in a place. So you have a stira. One place it says you should not throw it in a place where it gathers together. Another place says you should throw it in a place that it gathers together. It says Malay Kasha, Hadin Fishi de Kavi, Hadaloin Fishi de Kavi, right? When it's a lot. When it gathers together and it doesn't get absorbed quickly, then what? Then you don't. If it's a place where it's not so much, it will get absorbed quickly, then you can. Even if it's a place where it will gather together, since it'll be absorbed in the ground, we're not worried about chametz. Rabbi Yehuda, Isha loy tolish ela b'mayim shalanu. An Isha should only need dough in mayim shalanu. Now, mayim shalanu literally means our. We're going to play on words. Our mayim. But we darshan is mayim shelanu, mayim that like lina that you left overnight. It seems to be that there's components of heat in the water that only dissipate if it stays overnight. Let's see a Rashi over here. Shalanu balayla, shalanu that you left it out overnight. If they should be May Nisan, in the days of Nisan, hamayanos, the water springs, chamin, they're hot. Shadayim yimosa geshamim heim. It's still from the yimosa of the winter. During the winter, the chama, it goes in the concave of the rakia. All the rest of the world is cold. On a very, very, very superficial level. If you know this is not true, but somehow it does shine in the winter, it shines like view it's shining over here, where it has access to the subterranean fountains. And those fountains, therefore, the water is hot. And l'chora, anything that's hot could go ahead and make chametz faster. So therefore, in order to go ahead and take off any possible heat, what we do is we leave the mayim overnight. Mayim shalanu. Even to our touch, it might probably feels cool as anything. but we know that we're like Ma'im Shalanu. It's anyone who made matzah know you like Ma'im Shalanu, right? That's there you go. Darsha Rav Masna b'Pepunya, he darshan this thing Ma'im Shalanu, and Asya Kuli Alma Chatzbiu v'Yasel Gadei v'Yamalei Havlanu Maya, give us water. Rashi says Darsha Rav Masna b'Lashon HaKodesh Darshan. He darshan in Hebrew. Ukesuvim Hashoimim Shemayim Shaloihu Oimer. He was telling, come and get his water. He thought, he thought, I mean, come get his water. So therefore, they all brought their jugs. And then he told them, what did he say? He said, Amalahu, Ana b'maya devisu amru. I said, Maya, Mayim devisei is Mayim shalano, water that stayed overnight. Ami. Dorish Rava, Isha leitolish b'chama, she shouldn't go ahead and knead dough in front of the sun, because again, the sun makes it hot. Lo b'chami chama, and not with water that was heated from the sun, and certainly mayim that was heated with eish. Lo b'mayim hagrufim in amulyor, mayim that was kept in the bottom of the copper pot that retained its heat, the kumkum. For lo tagbiya yoda min ataner, she shouldn't go ahead and stop kneading. Shetigmas kol hapash finishes everything. In other words, keep on beating it until the whole thing is full. Because again, once you stop the kneading process, the chas v'shalom can become chametz. Right? With tzricha shnei kelim, she needs 2 kelim. Echad shemekatefes boy, one that she goes ahead and bastes the matzah with. The echad shemetzanenes boy es yedeha, and one that she cools off her hand when so one to baste and one to cool off her hand. Ibaylahu. Let's say she went ahead and she was over and lush with hot water. What's the din? Mazucha says it's mutter. Ravashi asa. Mazucha, no, I mean, I don't know it's mutter. The Tanya. In Lysisin has Pesach. We said you can't go ahead and soak bran on Pesach. We said everyone agrees by barley. We had machlokes by wheat. Rabbi had, remember, first Rabbi said asa, then he said mutter, then he said mitzvah. And we had three days in Rabbi. Then Allah says, and if you do it, then nisbaku asurin. If it cracks, it's asa. Like nisbaku, but doesn't crack mutarim. That's how I know. Ravashi Yama atukulu chada mechita mechayu are all things woven on one rug. In other words, just because that was halacha by lasita doesn't necessarily mean it's halacha by baking without water. And it's where it was learned that where was by the Rabbanan, where we learned that we learned that way, but we didn't learn that way. So you have no raya in a chinami can't sign that it's us. Hajjalach kol shah. Very, very powerful perek, packed full the mesechta of unbelievable things. Now the next perek we're going to discuss that this is chametz that you would not get chametz for if you eat. I guess we'd call it chametz nuksha or something that's not man. It's chametz, but not mamish chametz. It's not like the classic leavened chametz. But it's stuff that is questionable. So the elu oivim b'Pesach, these should be oivim by Yeroah by Yematzeh. Right? Rashi says, the elu shoivim alein by Yeroah by Yematzeh, v'kulam farish lu b'Gemara, and we're going to see all these things in the Gemara. The first thing that we're going to speak about is Kutach HaBavli, the Babylonian Kutach. We've had Kutach quite a bit of time through Shas, guys. It seems to be a dip that's milchiks in nature, and it seems to have moldy bread inside of it. Again, it was probably popular in that day. It was the forerunner of Greek yogurt, maybe not. The Sheikher Hamadai, Median beer. Their beer, by and large, guys, was date beer. In Babylonia, they had tremendous amount of dates. This is our beer. This is beer that they would throw siren in, that they throw barley in. The Choymitz HaDaimi, and this is Edomite, from Edom, blush and Edom, vinegar. The Zisum HaMitzri, something called Zisum HaMitzri. We'll meet it as Hashem. The Zuman Shel Tzavoyin. We're going to meet the Zuman of Tzavoyin. The Amelin Shel Tfachim. All these will be explained in the Gemara. The Koilin Shel Seifrim. Even Tachshitei Nashim, some type of makeup. Again, all these have a base of flour in it. So it has a base of flour in it. You have that problem. Again, problem of you won't be chayiv if you ate it, but you have been a chametz by your matzah that you would have to get rid of. Zakal, here's the rule: kol shu min dagan, anything that has either chita, sa'ira, kusmin, shifoin, or shibolik, shuol, the 5 grains. Harizoiv Pesach and Bayiro by matzah. Hari elu b'azhara ve'ein behem mishum karis. But if you eat it, you wouldn't have it in karis. My Rashi says, "Em achlan avolav yesh b'achilasan." The Gemara is going to all of this. There's a lot to eat it, but you would not be chayiv karis like you would stam by regular chametz. So the rest of the evening we're going to spend discussing objects, things that we know very little things about because we don't have them in our world, we don't eat them, and Baruch Hashem, most of these things do not sound that appetizing, at least to me. Tarabanan, shloish devarim nemin bekuta chabavli. They say there's 3 things about kuta chabavli. 1, betamte mesalev. It's going to cause you to have. I don't know if it means you're going to clog your arteries, but
Kishka.
What?
Kishka.
Maybe we don't go there. The tamtim mesalev usually means like more spiritual, like if you eat non-kosher meat, it's metamtim belev. U'misama esayinayim, it'll cause your eyes to go blind. U'makish esaguf, and it'll weaken your body. Then the Gemara explains each one. The tamtim mesalev mishum disyoyve dechalba. It has whey in it. Whey is like the water extract of milk. It seems that that's not healthy. So it'll be metamtim belev. U'misama esayinayim. It will blind you. Mishum milcha. It has. Remember the infamous melech stoimus. That's the reason you do mayim achronim, fellas. The mayim achronim. The reason is to get rid of that melech. It seems in Kuta Chabavli they had that melech. So therefore, you might touch your eye with it and it might blind you. U'makesh es haguf. It will weaken the body. Mishum kumnisa de uma, because it has kumnisa. It has kumnisa de uma. It has moldy bread. Since it has moldy bread, it weakens the body. Tanrabanan, Gimel Devarim, Marbim Hazevel. 3 things you eat will cause you to defecate quite a bit. The koifin es hakoima, it'll cause you to be bent over. The megal nechem mechamesh me'em amar, ain't of take 1/500 of the eyesight out. Shaladam. Eluhain, pas kibber, whole wheat bread. It's really amazing to me how bisman hazeh we hold whole wheat bread as nutritious. The Gemara seems to say it's really garbage. Just maybe nishtana abrius, I don't know. But the Gemara seems to say it's really, really garbage. I mean, I think it also is garbage. It tastes like cardboard,
Flour is the good one. We learned a few black. White flour is the good one. We learned a few black already. The white flour is the nice one.
Right. But I'm saying, bisman hazeh, everyone lauds the milus of whole wheat. You see, in that time, it wasn't good. It wasn't considered good. And here, not only wasn't it considered, it was poor man's bread. It was considered unhealthy. It says over here. What does it do? Pas kibur. These things go ahead. They increase you're going to the bathroom, which is true. The koifin es hakoima, it causes people to be bent over, it gets you older, and it causes you to be unhealthy, and you lose 500 of your eyesight. The sheikha chadash, brand new beer, and v'yerek chai. If you eat, Rashi says, if you eat raw leek or raw onions, and you eat them, it's harbe. A lot of them, it's not good for you. 3 things will decrease your stuff. It'll make you healthy. It'll give you a little pep in your step. Even and the opposite. It'll go ahead and give you help your eyesight. Eluhain, pas nakia, clean bread, basa shamein, fatty meat. This is a raya, right? Everything that we say is unhealthy. The Gemara says it's healthy. Basa shamein, fatty meat, v'yayin yasha, and drink old wine. Pas nakia on the base. What's pas nakia? This samida. It's from fine flour. Rashi says silas, means you took out the bran, you took out the germ. Basa shamein is what? Is the sapirta, a goat, the late eftach, did not give birth yet. Seems to be fatty meat. Yayin yasha is atiki. It's at least a few years old. It's 2 years old from the time I think wine is supposed to be good. I think the French drink a lot of wine. They have a low rate of heart problems. Is that true? I could be making that up. I don't know. Where's Yehuda Horowitz? Where's Tiny? Where's Jeopardy boy? Okay. One second. Avrami Weiner, do you have nothing to say about food?
No,
that wine.
Wine. I'm really confused with this whole wheat flour bit. I'm a big chassid of it, and I'm really I have to look into this now.
It's not their whole wheat. It's probably this whole wheat is like compared to white bread, Wonder
Back
Bread.
then, exactly, because our flour is processed, that all the stuff is taken
That's
out.
garbage. That's garbage. The white one.
Yeah,
right.
White
It's
flour.
it's not talking about sourdough, Avrami.
No,
not when it has jelly and peanut butter.
Enough. Go 1 second. Let me enjoy myself once. Mute all. Yes. Okay. Like the biggest hano you have in night is going, participants, mute all. Takes very little to make me happy. Says the word, something that's good for this part of your body is not good for your other part of the body. And that's good for the other part of the body is not good for this part of the body. All right. Except Rabbi Twersky has this Gemara going. Bizangvila rativa, fresh ginger. Fresh ginger seems to be very healthy. Upelpelia richta and long pepper. Upas nakia and Wonder Bread will help you. How many different ways does it make you healthy? Wonder Bread. And the ubas shame, fatty meat, the yayin yashan. The mali lekula gufa, that's good for your whole body. Okay, again, we don't. Again, I don't know what to say. Okay, Sheikh Ramadai, beer from Madai, from Persia, I guess, or meat, that the Ramubesh, sorry, they would throw in barley. Again, they had date beer. Guys, look at Rashi. Rashi's fascinating. Rashi lived in France 1,000 years ago. Sheikh Ramadai, the Fisheva Oisen Ayamim, a Noigin Lasa Sheikha Elamate Metmarim. Those days they only made from dates. Ubemadai, however, in Madai, Oisen Sheikha Mimei Soirim, from water that had barley in it. Ke'ain Oisa Shalonu, like ours. Meaning in France at that time they made, beer like we make beer. Karulei Sheikha Amadai. Therefore it's called Sheikha Amadai. So obviously if you're putting barley in it, you may have a chametz problem, guys, right? That's why we say that you'll be over by your matzah. The chametz adoimi and chametz from adoimi. What is that? The shadi beisari, because again, in this vinegar they would throw in barley. They were throwing barley in this vinegar. We're going to see that it was very interesting. There was wine that was so fine it wouldn't turn bad unless you threw barley in. So if you wanted vinegar, you'd have to go ahead and throw the barley in, because the wine, if it stayed that way, it would be, just really, really fine old wine. But let's say you wanted wine vinegar. So to facilitate that, you would throw in barley. So that's what we're speaking about. As we're going to see in a second. Amar Rav Nachman, B'tchila show maybe B'tchila kishahoyu mevi'in nesachim miYehuda. Originally, when they would bring wine from the southern part of Eretz Yisrael that we call Yehuda, lahoya yenam shel Yehuda machmitz. It never became chametz, right? It never became chametz until they would put barley into it. When they put barley into it, then it became this chametz. When I say chametz stam, and they would stam call that chametz, right? They would just call it chametz. However, ba'achshav ein yenam shel admoyim machmitz. The yayin from Edom did not become chametz until you put sarin into it. The koronei say chametz adaymi, and they would call it what? Chametz adaymi. L'kayim hashenemar. In other words, obviously we switched from Yehuda, the Jews, to the Italians, Edom, to fulfill what it says, imala hecharava, right? When I'll be filled mecharava, from the one that was destroyed. So again, the Bnei Yisrael is destroyed, and then the Jews, and then the Italians are up. Imala zu charvazu, imala zu charvazu. Rav Nachman Yitzchak, he has a different pasuk. It says when Rivka went to find out from Shem as to the phenomena of what was occurring in her womb, it says Lo'oim mil'oim yamatz Rabbi Abayit Sayer Lo'oim mil'oim yamatz. One kingdom will be stronger than the other. So when the Jews are up, the Italians are down. When the Italians are up, the Jews are down. So at one point, the Jewish wine from Yehuda would never become vinegar and then finally it happened. It wouldn't, and that would be vinegar mat, and the wine from Edom would not become vinegar. Tanya, Amrav Yehuda, Yehuda Rishayna, Yehuda before the Churban Bayis, Halokeh Chometz me Am Aretz. If you brought vinegar from an Am Aretz, Einoy Tzarech LaAser. You didn't have to take off Meiser. We know, fellas, the loch of the Mai, that the Amaratz and the Chayesh were not taking off Meiser, and therefore, usually when you buy from an Amar, you have to go ahead and be mafish meiser. True, they took off because it had mitzvah shemayim in it, but they didn't take off meiser. So they have to take off meiser. Mara assumes what? Mesha chazaka that enu element at temed. The chazaka that this vinegar came about because of temed. Temed would be the residue water that wine was soaked. Like after you soak the grapes in, the last thing was called temed. So it didn't have a halacha of a pre. It didn't have a halacha of wine of grapes, and therefore you didn't have to take off ma'isa. It had a vinegar, tam vinegar, but it didn't have the chazus. It didn't have the appearance of it, and therefore you didn't have to go ahead and take it off. But achshav, however, lokeh chemetz me'amaretz sarach la'aser. Now you have to go ahead. Cheskasay eina bo'elam minayayin, because now they go ahead and they make their vinegar from wine, and wine, of course, you have to take off ma'isa. So it's mashma v'sav Rabbi Yehuda temed lav bar su. You're telling me a side point that Rabbi Yehuda says temed. The vinegar of ma'isa, because temed, the initial source for the vinegar, this wine extract, is not what? It's not roy for ma'isa, because it does of taste and appearance. Someone's making temed, nasan mayim b'mida. So whenever you have left over of the grapes, he takes the water, he throws it in, and umatzu kemisas, he throws a gallon, he finds out a gallon. He throws in a quart, and he finds a quart. So he put in a melita, this temed, he went ahead and threw water in, and the same amount that he threw in came out. So obviously you didn't get anything from the grapes, right? Pata is pata from Isa. Rabbi Yehuda mechayev. There you go. Rabbi Yehuda says yechayev. So how can you tell me Rabbi Yehuda says vinegar from temed? You don't have to take off meiser. We see over here, like Rabbi Yehuda, temed, you do have to take off meiser. So we have a kasha, Rabbi Yehuda. Again, Rabbi Yehuda said it didn't. Temed you buy from an amaretz. Vinegar you buy from an amaretz. Vinegar you buy from an amaretz. You don't have to take off meiser. Why? Because it comes from temed. But here he says temed, you do have to take off meiser. Says Mahochi Kama. This is what Rabbi Yehuda was saying. When he said you don't have to, if you buy vinegar from Amaretz, you don't have to take off Maisa, not because it wasn't Mechuyev in Maisa, it's because they already took off Maisa. When were the Amaretz not taking off Maisa? When it was financially a loss for them. Temed is such not worth anything. So they're big tzaddikim, they don't take it off nothing. So he says, if you buy vinegar from Amaretz, since it was made from temed, and since temed is so cheap, I'll take off Maisa, it doesn't have a din of demai. That's what we're saying. It doesn't have a din of demai. But Eino Chinami, if you knew for sure that he didn't take off temed Maisa, you would have taken it in Maisa. Iba is saying in other teretz, nechshadu, they are chayish for not taking off Maisa. So what did he mean that's potter, the vinegar is potter from Maisa? Like Hasha, ha be the Ravka, the Ravka, ha be the Pirtsuni. If you go ahead, and it depends where you made the temed from. If you made the temed from grape seeds, then you don't have to take off ma'isa. If you made it from grape skins, you would have to make it. The ravka is called after you squeeze out the wine, what's left over is called lees. And those lees, you go ahead and put water on, the extract is temed. Since it's coming from the actual grape itself, that would be Mechayev Maisa. That's the Mishnah that was quoted. When Rabbi Yehuda says it's din that you buy vinegar from an Amaretz, you don't have to take off Maisa. That was temed that was made from Pirtsuni, that was made from grape seeds. Grape seeds and taka, not Mechayev Maisa. So two possible terutzim. Either they're not chayish for the demai, there's no din of demai, or there is a din of demai, and we know for sure over here that the vinegar came as a result from grape seeds rather than grape skins. It says v'zisum hamitzri. Eluoy, from what is zisum hamitzri? What exactly is that? My zisum hamitzri. It's Rabbi Yosef tilsa sari. It's a drink that was a third barley, right? Flour of barley. Tilsa kutami. Rashi says a saffron. The tilsa milcha and the third salt. Rav Papa mafik sari u'ma'lich. He said it wasn't made from vinegar. Rav Papa, it wasn't made from barley. He says vinegar. Sorry. The Zimun HaMitzri was not made from barley flour, it was made from wheat flour. Either way, you have a chametz problem. It's Zimun. Remember who said what? Think of the word sisani. You have the word sisani. So that sisani, Rashi brings, is sisani that is something that holds dates. And you have two samachs in it. So Rabbi Yosef is the one who says samech. Rabbi Yosef has a samech in it, and barley has a samech in it. So or has a sin in it. You'll remember Rabbi Yosef is the one who said barley, and therefore you'll infer Rabbi Papa is the one who said wheat. Okay, now how would they go ahead and make this third flour, third saffron, third salt drink? So Tarilei, they'd soak them all together. The Kaliluhu, they would then toast it. The Tachlilu, and they would grind it. The Shasulei, and they would drink it. They would drink it from Pesach until Shavuos. The Kamayit, someone who's constipated, Umarapile, they would do the job. With the Rabbi, and you had the opposite problem, the Kamele would be able to hold it in. It would go ahead. It would be like Pepto-Bismol. For a person who's sick or a woman who's pregnant, it's dangerous to drink this stuff. It's dangerous stuff. The Zoymin Shel Tzabayim, we said that in the Mishnah, we said Zoymin Shel Tzabayim. What in the world is that? It says, we're here in Babel, they have a Targum, Mayim D'chiyure, water which has bran in it, has bran soaked in it. The Tzava B'hu Laba, they would use it to go ahead and dye skins that were red. So therefore, since it had bran in it, again, you had a problem of what? Of chametz. Ba'yiro ba'yimatzah. V'amilin shel tabachim. We said amilin shel tabachim. What does that mean? It's pas tavua shaloi hevia shlish. It's pas made from a crap that is not grown a third of its growth. Shemanichim al pi kedera. They put it on the top of the kedera, and that would soak up any garbage. So again, v'kshayevis has zuhama. It'll absorb the zuhama. The zuhama is the stuff that rises to the top. The koilin shel seifrim, and another thing that you had a problem by your Rabbi Matzah, we said is the scribe's colon, not colon colon, but colon. Okay. Now says the Gemara, hachatir gemu pirupi ushpechi. Here in Babel they said it's the glue of a shoemaker. Shoemaker is an artisan, and I guess glue. They would go ahead and they would put flour in to go make the glue gluier, right? To make it thicker. They would use this. So therefore, it had a din by Rabbi Matzah. Again, obviously you can't eat the stuff. It's no karis, but there would be a din wad of by Rabbi Matzah.
It's got to be still Raya Achilas Kelev.
Again, yeah. I'm not. I don't know what the story is with that.
Glue is not good. No one can eat glue.
Again, I don't know. I'm not coming. I don't know what the stuff is, so I can't tell you.
Right.
Could a dog eat perfume?
No.
Do we put away perfume? Because
alcohol from perfume.
Right, exactly. So that's that. I'm saying that I'm not sure which of these are things that are edible or I'm not exactly sure. I'm not at this point. I'm not sure. As a depilatory to take off external hair, unwanted hair, they would use this mixture, and any leftover this went to the daughters of the poor. So machlokes what koilin shel seifrim is. It's either the shoemaker's glue or leftover depilatory. Now, how could you say it's leftover depilatory? But Tani Reb Chia learned that Mishnah. He said the following: Arba mine medina, of the chametz that was mentioned, 4 things that are used for everybody, ushloisha mine umanos, and 3 were used for what? For people who have craftsmen, Zaymin, Amilan, and Kailan. Those are all used for craftsmen. Now, if you're going to tell me that this is depilatory, at Bishlam you tell me it's for a shoemaker. You have 3 things that are used for umanim, for craftsmen. But if you can tell me it means the depilatory, then it's 5 and 2. It's not 4 and 3, because a woman is not an artisan. It's not a woman. If you're going to say colon, the colon means what? It means the depilatory for rich girls and leftover for the poor. My mine umanis ikka. What do you mean that? What kind of uman do you have? We need 4 and 3. It says so. It must be what? It must be that it means the shoemaker. Fred the Gemara, if it means the shoemaker, it's a shoemaker's glue. Why do you call it the glue of a scribe? Why do you call it the glue of a cipher? Why do you Either way, you got a problem. It's either if it's depilatory, it's not for an umin, an artisan, and if it is for an artisan, and you say it's a shoemaker, then why you call it a shleifrim? Shleifrim is not a shoemaker. My like a high koil shall shleifrim. Said koil shall ratzonim by you should have said the koilim of the leather workers, the koilim of the shoemakers. So and the Gemara answers on Rabbi lo'olam pirurei dosh b'chiyatake is speaking about its use for shoemakers. Or my kari like koilin shal seifrim. Why do we call it koilin shal seifrim? Is the seifrim nami midap who they were saying the seifrim when they would want to connect their papers together, they would use the glue, this type of glue. So therefore it had twofold purpose. Good, it was used by shoemakers, but it was used by seifrim as well, and therefore why it was called koilin shal seifrim. A good talk to everybody. Thank you all for listening.